This was the first public Queen song ever. Mind, you grow a little wiser.
What? Hi everyone! This is, as you know, the beginning of my Queen journey. And, well, I listened to Barcelona, but now I'm going back to the very beginning of Queen. And this song, Keep Yourself Alive, is the first song on the first album that Queen ever published. Well, for a bit of context, Vlad has given me a little list of facts about other things that were happening at that time, musically speaking, that I know about to kind of help me place everything in context. So, here is the list. 1973, which is when this song was published. The Beatles had been out of the scene for 3 years already. And the same year, 1973, Led Zeppelin published their 5th album. Stairway to Heaven, which was my first Led Zeppelin song I ever heard, was released in 1971, 2 years previous, and they started to work on Kashmir in 1973. And for those of you who have been following me, you know that Kashmir has become one of the songs on my list of all-time favorites that I've heard. In the same year, Pink Floyd published The Dark Side of the Moon. And yes, I know, Vlad told me about this album, which was selected for preservation in the United States National Recording Registry by the Library of Congress as being culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. Well, that's another one that we wanted to celebrate because 1973 to 2023 is 50 years, and we wanted to celebrate the 50-year anniversary of that album as well. But we can't do everything, and so we will get to that one. And also in 1973, Lynyrd Skynyrd released their first album. So that's 1973 for me. Now, of course, there were other notable events musically in that year, but they're not really relevant to me yet because I haven't experienced that other music yet. Well, Vlad also said that Rolling Stones released Angie, which I haven't heard. I haven't heard Rolling Stones yet, but that is going to be coming very soon. Anyway, Keep Yourself Alive is Queen's debut single. It was written by guitarist Brian May. I guess that's the same Brian May who taught himself to play the harp so he could do those harp flourishes on Love of My Life. Of course, being a guitarist, I expect that this will feature guitar quite a bit if he's the one who composed it. It is the opening track on their self-titled album, released in 1973, and it was also released as Queen's first single. Although Keep Yourself Alive is the only Queen single not to have charted in the UK, in 2008, Rolling Stone rated the song 31st on its list of the 100 greatest guitar songs of all time. And according to Mark Hodkinson, who is the author of Queen: The Early Years, Keep Yourself Alive was conceived on acoustic guitars during Queen's practice sessions at Imperial College and the Garden at Ferry Road in 1970. Okay, so it's been in the works for 2-3 years or so. May said that he had penned the lyrics thinking them ironic and tongue-in-cheek, but their sense was completely changed when Mercury sang them. Mercury commented that the song was a very good way of telling people what Queen was about in those days. So I'm curious now to see where Queen began, and also, of course, because Queen included Freddie, and I've listened to Barcelona, where did Freddie's musical journey begin? And how are we going to see it develop as he moves towards the later music, such as one of the last ones, Barcelona?
little better every day. But if I crossed a million rivers and I rode a million miles, then I'd still be where I started, bread and butter for a smile. Well, I sold a million mirrors in a shopping alleyway, but I never saw my face in any window any day. Now they say your folks are telling you, be a superstar, but I tell you, just be satisfied, stay right where you are. Keep yourself alive, come on, keep yourself alive. Take you all your time and money to keep you satisfied. Women in a belladonna cave, and I had a million dinners brought to me on silver tray. Gives me everything I need to feed my body and my soul. And I grow a little bigger, maybe that can be my goal. I was told a million times of all the people in my way. Now I had to keep on trying and get better every day. But if I cross a million rivers and I rode a million miles, then I'd still be where I started, same as when I started. Keep yourself alive. Keep yourself alive. Take you all your time and the money to keep yourself alive. You're better every day.
No, I just think I'll do 50 run to my grave.
Come on, keep yourself alive. Yeah, keep yourself alive. All you people, keep yourself alive. Keep yourself alive. Come on, keep yourself alive. All you people, keep yourself alive. Keep yourself alive. Come on, come on. Take you all your time and the money, honey. Survive. Keep yourself alive. Come on. Keep yourself alive. All you people, keep yourself alive. Take you all your time and money, honey. Keep yourself alive.
That's pretty wild. Just like when I heard Barcelona, which comes at the end of Freddie's career, I hear in this song also that sort of electrifying energy that Freddie seems to put into the music. It's like blue sparks everywhere. There's also something about this music, this song, that makes me think, it reminds me a bit of some really high energy fiddle music. You know, like the type where the fiddlers are just bowing as fast as they possibly can and everybody's right on the beat and they're tapping their feet right with it, and it's this really almost nervous energy feeling. Well, I want to go back and listen, and I will pause along the way and comment whenever I feel like saying something. Comparing it to what I've been listening to with the Beatles' early stuff, and now coming into this is so vastly different. Now, this opening, I like the way it kind of dives down to get into the rhythm. Just this first little bit here. It's like of like somebody dropped a stone into the water and it dropped to the bottom, and then down where it landed is where all the rhythm is coming from. Like maybe it's just sizzling at the bottom of the kettle or something like that. And it steps up a little bit and other things added. And the way the instruments are added in, one after the next after the next. I have heard that on other pieces of music, but in this one, it seems like every time one adds in, it's not about adding a layer of texture or harmony, but more about adding another shot of energy to the piece. Here comes the next one. And now the guitar can run around. And now here. Suddenly, we have this irresistible force.
I was told a million times about the
And
troubles
then the
in
voice
my
comes
way.
in. When that first note comes in, I, that is a hard word to really jump out of the starting gate with. It has no consonant. It has a rather broad shape to it, I. And to get it to feel like it's electrified and just charging ahead is quite a challenge for a singer. And it comes blazing in.
I was told a million times about the troubles in my way. Mind you grow a little wiser, a little better every day. But if I crossed a million rivers and I rode a million miles, then I'd still be where I started, bread and butter for a smile. Well,
This has a feeling of a little bit frantic, a little bit hustling. But I want to comment on what I'm hearing from this very first song. And that is Freddie's use of his voice and his use of the language as a vehicle for his voice. Notice what he does with the consonants, with the vowels, how he shapes and places everything very detailed, very specific for an effect.
I was told a million times about the troubles in.
When he says times, listen to the t of times and how he places it and then moves into the rest of the word.
I was told a million times about the troubles in my way. Mind you.
And of course, Brian May wrote these lyrics. I was told a million times of all the troubles in my way. That consonant, the T, if we just read it, I was told a million times of all the troubles in my way. It's in there, but Freddie is bringing it out, and he's making it be this very active part of the music.
I was told a million times about the troubles in my way. Mind you grow a little wiser, a little better every day. But if I crossed a million rivers and I rode a million miles,
And the intensity that's built here.
bread and butter for a smile. Well, I sold a million mirrors in a shopping alleyway, but I never never saw my face in any window any day. Now they say your folks are telling you, be a superstar. But I tell you, just be satisfied. Stay right where you are. Keep yourself alive. Come on, keep yourself alive. Take you all your time and money to keep you satisfied.
In that moment there, in the chorus, it has a little hint of, shall I say, gospel, black gospel style choir singing. If you think of an African American gospel church choir and how they build up this rhythmic energy, at the same time they have this, of course there's a bit of blues in the background, but it becomes its own thing. Listen to the chorus here and listen how there is a little flavor of that.
I'm telling you, be a superstar. But I tell you, just be satisfied. Stay right where you are. Keep yourself alive. Come on, keep yourself alive.
Come on!
Take you all your time and money to keep you satisfied.
Money! The way he handles the rhythm of the words is really great. The instruments are fabulous. The rhythm, the energy of the ensemble behind him, well, as I commented on the entrance, each one adds another layer of this intensity. But then, just imagine a different singer trying to sing this in this ensemble. Imagine, okay, let's take another really great singer in his own style. Let's say John Lennon. Because I've been listening to the Beatles. Imagine John Lennon here. This is not music for John Lennon. I don't think he would do very well. John Lennon had his own kind of music, his own style, where he worked beautifully. Freddie Mercury has a completely different style. And to cross the two just wouldn't sit right.
Stay right where you are. Keep yourself alive. Come on, keep yourself alive. Take you all your time and money to keep you satisfied.
Back to this rhythm here. So interesting that the guitar there is very small. It's very out of the way. Even though this is Brian May's creation and he's the guitarist, it doesn't feel like he's trying to make the guitar be in the spotlight. It's more about what serves the music. And he has a vision of this music that is much more rhythmically focused than melodically focused guitar-wise. And so when he comes in with these little melodic fragments, he keeps them a bit small, a bit in the background, even though that's all that's playing there.
Women in a belladonna cave, and I had a million dinners brought to me on silver tray. Gives me everything I need to feed my body and my soul. When I grow a little bigger, maybe that can be my goal. I was told a million times of all the people in my way. Now I had to keep on trying and get better every day. But if I crossed a million rivers and I rode a million miles, then I should be where I started, same as when I started. Keep yourself alive.
Now here's the chorus again. Another thing, of course, I haven't mentioned, although I noticed it right away, is how this is set up so that Freddie is answering to himself. And he sings and then he enters again from the other side, answering back and forth. It's kind of a conversation within himself, or a conversation by himself, where... But I don't think it's meant to be sounding like he's talking to himself or a conversation so much as it adds, because one of the phrases begins before the other phrase has been cut off. It gets rid of airspace. It gets rid of dead space. And so it keeps this sort of crazy intensity all the way through. We never come to the end. We never get to catch our breath. It's here, and then it's here, and then it's here, and then it's here, and it just keeps on going and going. It also gives a nice dynamic dimension where we hear things coming from different sides, different angles, and that also kind of keeps us, what's coming next? How's it going? And all of this, it's highly caffeinated, is how I would say it. Highly caffeinated. And it also is the kind of music that I imagine, well, for me, it makes me want to get up and move, dance. It's a very energetic dance feel. Like, you cannot sit still. We have to get moving here because, oh my goodness, there's a lot happening.
Keep yourself alive. Keep yourself alive. Take you all your time and the money to keep yourself alive.
I kind of like what the drums are doing there. Interesting, those little exclamations there. On top of just the drums. It could be a dance floor and, just exclamations as people are moving in this very energized way. Or it could be a sort of representation of, well, this is all about keep yourself alive and hustling. I've sold 1 million mirrors, but I never saw my face in any window. And be a superstar, but just keep yourself alive. And it's almost like these are exclamations and cries of somebody kind of dodging a bullet and holding on for the ride because it's a crazy day, or that kind of keep yourself alive, and the exclamations of maybe what the experience is like sometimes, although it's not telling you what the experience is. You're just hearing the soundtrack of the experience. It's kind of cool. Like, what was that about? That sounds like, I don't know, did he step on a thorn? Did he step on a slug, a rotten banana? Did a bird fly over him and drop something on him? It's something happened and we don't know what it is, but we certainly hear the exclamation of it. Really, actually, I didn't notice this the first time around so much because I was so caught up in everything else. But this is actually a really beautiful bit of guitar playing. imagine it being played by an orchestra. In fact, the first part is very singable. Could be sung with words. It's very lyrical. And then da-da-dum, da-da-dum. I can imagine a string section in an orchestra interjecting that. It's beautiful. And then we're right back into it.
Do you think you're better every day?
No, I just think I'll do 50 road to my grave.
Come on, keep yourself alive. Yeah.
That's a great little ascent, which instead of just throwing us immediately back into keep yourself alive as it did earlier, now we feel ourselves being walked up to it. Again, building the anticipation, the intensity of it.
No, I just think I'll do 50 road to my grave.
Come on, keep yourself alive. Yeah. Keep yourself alive. All you people, keep yourself alive. Keep yourself alive. Come on, keep yourself alive. All you people, keep yourself alive. Keep yourself alive. Come on, come on. Take you all your time and money, honey, you survive. Keep yourself alive. Come on, keep yourself alive. All you people, keep yourself alive. Take you all your time and money, honey. Keep yourself alive.
That's really, I guess I could say, an exciting piece of music, an incredibly intense piece of music. And yet it's so listenable, so approachable. That's the thing that strikes me about it most strongly, is all of this intensity and this wild energy and the force and the power of it. But it doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like we're struggling to keep up. Instead, it feels like we're going right along with it. And that's quite a musical achievement. That's a challenge. And it's not only a challenge of composition, it's a challenge of delivery. And I've heard very few pieces by Freddie Mercury, but I already, hearing this now as the beginning of his career, makes me realize that this guy, he had something in him of a performer that is very rare to find. He has this ability to deliver something which brings it to life and gets you involved simply by how well he conveys it, how well he communicates with the audience, how well he relates to the audience. For me to have enjoyed this like I did, in spite of the fact that, as you know, this kind of music is not my listening style, and yet I find myself thinking, this would be fun to listen to again. That's an incredible achievement, and I have to credit Freddie's singing with doing that. Although I don't want to dismiss all the rest of the ensemble, as I said with the introduction, as each instrument comes in. And they maintained that energy and that clarity and that dynamism all the way through. And yet it was Freddie that captivated me. I think it's great. This is going to be a fun journey, and, well, this is my very first song along the way. So, well, this is just the first of 50. So, this is going to be a fun journey, and I'm looking forward to it. Don't forget that there are already a collection of these by the time you see this video. There are going to be a collection of these on Ko-fi and Patreon uploaded for the members before I release them in public. And if you want to see them ahead of time, you're welcome to check things out there. I really didn't expect to hear this kind of performance at the beginning of this journey, and I didn't expect to be so captivated by this music, but I am. This was a fun listen and I enjoyed it, and I'm really looking forward to going through this journey now and discovering more and more. So I'll be back soon, and I'll see you next time.